Alright guys, I know that a lot of other YouTubers have already made this, but I wanted to do my own World of Tanks tier 10 tier maker. Just kind of rank all the tier 10s. I haven't played every single tier 10, but I kind of have a general idea of fighting against them and just like the statistics of them. So I can kind of at least give a little bit of my point of view on this. And yeah, so let me get through this. So let's start with the let's start from the top. So we have OP, S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, F tier, and then question mark. So I will explain this throughout when I put these tanks in. So the 113. So this is the original tier 10 Chinese heavy tank that used to be on the tech tree, but now is available, I guess, in the special shop. This tank, the gun handling is pretty trash. So I put it as D. You get 440 alpha, you get more gun depression over the side, but 5 degrees over the front, and I think 7 degrees over the side. Armor used to be great, but now it's just, I don't know. I think there are other tanks to get, is what I'll say. The WZ 111 5A is better, so definitely recommend that more. Let's see, 121B, the reward that you can get. This is trash. Yeah, the DPM is just too low. You don't get the high alpha like you do on the 121, so it's trash. The 121 is slightly better, but still pretty bad. You get the higher alpha, but it gets such low gun depression that it's just, I don't know. Like, I think I'm gonna just keep the tier 9 and just play that, just because you get the high alpha at tier 9. But you know, some people might disagree with me. 60 TP. This is a great tank. Probably one of the best premiums that you can buy. I'd actually put this in super competitive. Yeah, I think it's a great tank. The high alpha damage with the great sloping turret means that you can it's pretty much an E100 that gets slightly less DPM but better armor. So AMX 13105. I haven't played this, but because there's an EBR, you might as well play that. So I'll put this as B tier, since you get an autoloader, so you can, you know, you can do some carrying in certain situations, but I think you'd be better getting an EBR. While we're at it, EBR OP. I mean, there's nothing more to say. It has like the best camo out of like any other tank, any other light tank, which is just broken, and you have the mobility. It's just so broken. 30B is a reward tank, or used to be on the tank tech tree, but now was removed. The tier 9 is better, so just gonna put in enough. You get that huge cupola. I wouldn't recommend it. 50B. Now this is just interesting because there's so many autoloaders in the game now, and auto reloaders with the Italians. I think it's been overshadowed. I think you can still carry and obviously have amazing results, but I think there's other tanks that are just better. But it does have mobility and an autoloader, so it's definitely a novel feature. So I'd say it's slightly fallen below the competitive area. The AMX M4. I think they're better heavies. The Super Conqueror just kind of makes this tank redundant, and I'm gonna just keep at the tier 9. I'd recommend staying at the tier 9. One of the tanks that I would recommend staying at tier 9. The Badger, again, the Tortoise is better. It's just too inflexible, and there's not many situations you can use the DPM, so unfortunately have to put it there. Batchat Arty, I mean, it's got an autoloader, but I think it's also pretty bad, but I also haven't played it, so I'm gonna put that in question mark. The Batchat. Okay, I have a love-hate relationship with this tank. It's a great tank, and it can be competitive in certain situations, but I think it's been overshadowed by other tanks. The Centurion, I think it's not that great anymore. It's just too big. The armor's not very consistent. But in certain situations you can do well, but I think an STB1 is better in almost every situation than that tank. Chieftain, OP. I don't have that tank, but it's just OP. No turret weak spots, and it just wrecks. Conqueror gun carriage, I could put it in B tier, maybe A tier artillery, since it's pretty competitive. It's got that huge splash range. So E100, I don't have this tank, but I think I could put it in B tier. I mean, you can make it work. HE E100 is a meme. But really, it's even after the buffs, it's still kind of just meh. E50M, I think is okay. I mean, I will eventually purchase it, but I'm not urging to purchase it. It's just, I don't know, like the Leopard is better. Speaking of the Leopard, I think the Leopard would be an A tier. That 440 Alpha, great TPM, obviously has no armor, but really armor at tier 10 is kind of meaningless nowadays. And again, just keep in mind this is my playstyle, so I generally like, more mobile tanks. Foch 155. I think it's very novel, but competitively speaking, it's not very good. The meme is that it's 750 DPM, because you generally will hit the first shot and then bounce the next two, or miss the next two, to be fair. The 50 Foch B is slightly more competitive, but I think it's situational. Like, it can do really well in certain situations. The FV215B, not very competitive. The armor just really lets it down, unfortunately speaking. The stage 2, I just say it's D. I mean, it's novel again. Like, you can have your 10k, 12k games played, or 12k battles, or damage battles, but it was nerfed to shit. So yeah. The grill, I'd say it's decently competitive. The mobility combined with the great gun handling, or relatively okay, like, it's really accurate. The gun handling is kind of shit, but if you put a improved rotation mechanism, you can really make that tank work. GW100, I've never played this, so I don't know. It's an artillery. IS-7. It's been overshadowed, but I think it's still competitive. Like, the buff to the gun was pretty nice, and you can still make it work. So I put that there. Yeah, Panzer E100. Situational. I'd say similar to E100 and Foch. K91. It's too inflexible. It's pretty bad. You don't get the fully rotating rotating turret, so I think I would actually just keep the tier 9, because the tier 9 is actually pretty decent. The Kron, what do I do? The Kron is actually really good, so I put that S tier. It got a buff to the DPM, but it only has 3 rounds, but it's still like the armor just, if you can go hold down, it just is really workable, and the armor is just really troll. The Patton, say it's just B tier, like, it's okay. I think the armor can be trollish, because people generally think they can pen you, but sometimes people just dab the 2 key. M60, same thing. I think it sacrifices a little bit of the armor, gets a bigger weak spot, but it gets and I think it's less DPM, but it's better gun handling, so it can definitely work. Manticore, shit. absolute trash. I don't know why they let it have like 15 rounds of ammo and only 390 alpha. I feel like this gun should use the Conway's gun. Like, it should have the option to use both Conway guns, and I think it would be way more competitive. If it could mount that 600 alpha gun that the Conway has, I think it would be way more balanced, and you would see a lot more people playing it. Mouse, I just can't make this tank work. Everybody just fires premium, but I think you can make it work if you're a better German heavy tank player than I am. Object 140, actually really competitive. I'd say A tier. That DPM, and they also buffed the gun depression, so it's 7 degrees now, so that's really phenomenal. Yeah, typical Russian medium. Let me get the Russian mediums done. Object 907, that's just a better 140. And typically the players that get this tank are just kind of grid players, so it kind of seems like it's more OP than it is, but yeah, very good. 430U, also very good. The troll armor, 440 alpha. The one weakness of the tank is you kind of have to fire a lot of premium because the penetration's so low, standard, but really competitive. Let's see, any other Soviet heavy or mediums I'm missing? 62A. Let's see. Say it's similar to the 140. I think the 140 is slightly better though. But this tank was removed from the shop, or the tech tree, so it's in the shop. But I would recommend the 140 over that. The benefit to this tank is it doesn't get set on fire as much, and it's got a better turret. But I don't think it's worth sacrificing that gun depression. Object 260. It's kind of like a better IS-7. I haven't played this tank, but I think this tank is also, like, it seems better than it is because only usually the better players get it, because it's the final campaign battle or campaign reward for the first campaign. Haven't played RD. Object 260, 268, just trash. I think they need to buff the alpha to like 850, like back to when in the old days when all the 750 alpha guns used to do 850. I think if they made this 850, I think it would be more competitive, but right now it's just not. Object 268 version 4, I'd say it's A tier. Armor's still very troll, but it's just inflexible, but you can definitely influence the battle, and you can kind of just press W. 277, I'd say it's very, very competitive. The mobility combined with the very trollish armor, it's just amazing hull down, and just that mobility, really, it's the mobility, it's amazing. 279, it's just troll. It's just kind of broken. 705A. Again, I don't have this tank, but I think it's kind of like an IS-7 that is rear mounted, so you can definitely, troll and bully with this tank, but the mobility kind of lets it down. It's balanced. I'd say these tanks are just kind of balanced. Progetto, I'd say it's balanced. The DPM's just kind of, it gets really bad when you shoot more rounds, which makes it balanced, but it's not as like really balanced like the Basante. I think there is no Basante here. I think this is before the Basante was added, but the Basante F tier. Basante is just so bad just because the DPM, but the Progetto, it just because I think it's because it's a medium and it has 4 rounds, it can work in certain situations. The Panzer IV, I haven't played this, but I think it's similar to a mouse. But again, I haven't played it, so don't quote me on that. Same with this tank, I haven't played it, so I think it's somewhere around here. But this tank, again, I think it's because typically the better players get a hold of this tank. I think that kind of inflates the average. Panzerwagen F. Sheridan, F. I don't have either of these, and there's a reason why they're F. ST2, I think this is pretty trash. I think the tier 9 is better, but I haven't played this, so I can't really give you a great idea. But me staying at tier 9 should give you an idea of why. STB1, a really phenomenal, very competitive medium tank. Great gun depression. Like I said, it's pretty much a Centurion that has really good DPM and better turret armor and better gun depression. Yep. Sturv, situational, but I'd say it's better than these tanks. You can do really great if you are able to just sit in bushes and camp. Super Conqueror, very competitive. Yeah, great gun depression, great gun, great DPM, great armor, just very high skill cap heavy. LT, also very competitive. Yeah, it's low profile, got great mobility, has armor, like unlike these tanks here, unlike these light tanks that are kind of just trash. So you can really scout and but the problem is the EBR. Like if there's no EBR, LT would be up here, I think. E3, situational again, similar to Eggplant E100. You can have your amazing games. E4, slightly less, just because you get the added flexibility of a turret, but I think this plays more like a heavy, and so it doesn't have any armor. Like I'd rather have like a 705A. E5, I'd say it's B tier just because it's like so underestimated, and it could definitely work. The problem is that the cupola, it's always the cupola, isn't it? T57, similar to the 50B. I'd say it's like these two are like interchangeable. I haven't played RD. I'd say this is probably similar to the gun carriage. I think this is probably like up here, like maybe B tier. The 261 probably is B tier as well. This thing, I think it's probably B tier. And then, honestly, this is just novel, but I think it's a little bit less. Those are my guesstimates. Haven't played this, so I don't know. TVP, I'd say it's here. Like it's not up here. Like it's not like broken OP or like really great, but it's up there. 5A, super good, very competitive. It's like a 277, except like you get less mobility, but the gun handling is better. Type 5, yeah, it's been overshadowed, unfortunately. Everyone just fires heat into you, and you just get wrecked. But you have a lot of HP, so it's like kind of like a mouse. I think this is slightly better than a mouse. UDES, actually really competitive. Probably A tier, just because the hydropneumatic suspension, got pretty decent gun. Yeah, competitive. This tank is shit, and this tank is shit. Okay, there we go. Here's my tier list. Obviously, broken tanks, highly competitive, very meta tanks right now. Again, slightly less meta, like, but still like really good. These tanks are like decently good, like you can play them, you can enjoy them, but not the most competitive. These tanks are just kind of situational and can be good sometimes, and then these tanks are just kind of trash. Or these tanks are like, again, situational but kind of like worse, and then these tanks are just absolute trash, and then this is question mark. Let me see if there's anything I would absolutely move from the trash. I think maybe ST2 can go here, and then maybe this can go here. It's a bit novel, I guess, but the problem is that weak spot. Maybe this could go here because of higher alpha. Could maybe make that work. But yeah, it's kind of looking like this. So these are the tanks I would definitely recommend grinding. Let's see. This tank, actually, the tier 9's not bad. The tier 8's kind of trash, but the grind's not too harsh. This tank, I love the tier 8. The tier 9 was okay. And the tier 10 obviously is great. The reward, EBR definitely recommend, OP. But keep in mind the tier 8 is really hard to play. The tier 9 gives you the same gameplay, and then the tier 10 is just broken. I'd say the tier 9 is also slightly broken as well. Object 277, definitely recommend. G10 is very fun to play. IS3 is still like decent. Super Conquer, very fun grind. The Carnarvon's really good. The tier 7 Black Prince is really good. The tier 9 is really good. Like, this is one of the most pleasurable grinds I've ever had. STB1, the grind is kind of shit. The tier 8's shit. The tier 9 is okay, but it helps teach you how to play this tank. This grind is actually pretty not bad. I'm still on the T54 lightweight, but the lightweight's actually pretty competitive. I'd say this is the problem with this light tank is because of all the EBRs. Like, you kind of just rather play an EBR, which is why I don't really play this as much. 5A, one of the best grinds I've played as well. The let's see, the IS2 is just like an IS, slightly worse. The what is the tier 8's like not bad. The tier 9's phenomenal, and then this tank's like really great as well. Considering repurchasing the tier 9 actually because I enjoyed it so much, but you know, there's been alpha damage creep, so yeah, these tanks I would recommend. And then these tanks, like, I'd recommend if you like the playstyle essentially. But yeah, that's my list. And let's take a look at what the community rank is. So this is what other people have ranked. So, you know, surprise, EBR actually in its own sector because it's just that OP. These tanks, I had these up here. Let's see. Yeah, makes sense. They actually put the Leopard up higher, which is interesting. C260. They actually put the 7201K here. I haven't played that tank, but the alpha damage, I can see how it could be up here, and it's got better turret armor than the E100. Interesting how the E100's up here. I think it's just the DPM probably definitely makes it competitive. 13105. I kind of disagree. This is like high skill cap, but maybe it's because the autoloader. This I'm kind of confused on why this is so high. I mean, these are all like situational tanks, which kind of makes sense. I'm surprised the 60 TP is so low. I would put the 60 TP up here. Makes sense. I'm surprised the Manticore is not F tier, but I guess it's just the people who like playing it like to play it. I'm surprised the Scent is up here. 113. Yeah, I'm surprised these things are here. Some of these are just trash. They put all the RDs down here. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, most of this makes sense. Yeah, I think that this ranking is what I would rank it as well. So let me know what your ranking is. And let me go back to this is my ranking. So let me know what you guys would rank each tank, and if you guys disagree. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed and learned something here about what tanks to grind. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm out.